Dear students, hearty welcome to the second part of our lesson, Mauritius, written by R.K. Lakshman. In the first two paragraphs, we saw how he was preparing his journey to Mauritius and where was it situated, and it is in the Indian Ocean. And we also came to know that it is just below the equator, 20th parallel, and 4,500 kilometers southwest of Mumbai. Okay, so much we have seen. Now we will see the rest of the story in this class. Dear students, in the third paragraph we saw how he found it very difficult to make a comparison, or it is rather very difficult to make a comparison between what he saw from the aeroplane regarding Mauritius and what he really experienced. Okay, he is saying that this tiny island Mauritius has an astonishingly similar variety, lot of varieties, strange juxtapositions. Okay, it is how people live side by side, incongruities, the uncertainties of the island, and odd mixes of race and language. So there are different languages and races. They all rub their shoulders and they live peacefully in oneness. Okay. Now we move on to the fourth paragraph. Here, Africans and Chinese, Biharis and Dutch, Persians and Tamilians, Arabs, French and English all rub shoulders merrily with one another and emerge with a peculiar sense of oneness. A Tamil, for instance, bears a deceptively South Indian face and a name to go with it to boot. Radhakrishna Govindan is indeed from Madras. I speak to him in Tamil. He surprises me by responding in a frightfully mangled English with a heavy French accent. So now he is going to give us one of his experience with a person called Radhakrishna Govindan. So he says, a Tamil, for instance, so this is an example, for example, bears a deceptively South Indian face. So there are some people with a South Indian face and a name to go with to boot. So sometimes the name also will be of a South Indian origin. Okay, but it is deceptive. Actually, it is not true. Why? Radhakrishna Govindan is indeed from Madras. So okay, he is saying about a person who is from Madras. Actually, he is not from Madras. His ancestors were originally from Madras once upon a time. And they came to Mauritius to do some work. I speak to him in Tamil. So, R.K. Lakshman just spoke to him in Tamil. But he surprises me by responding in a frightfully mangled English with a heavy French accent. So, though by seeing Radhakrishna Govindan and by knowing his name, a South Indian name, Radhakrishnan tried to R.K. Lakshman tried to speak to him in Tamil. But what happened? But he was responding not in Tamil but in English. That English also was a mangled English, a spoiled English, not correct English. Okay, and what happened? It had a heavy French accent. So English with the French accent. How that French accent came in the speaking of Radhakrishna Govindan, that we will see in the coming paragraphs. Mr. Govindan has no knowledge of Tamil and his tongue has ceased curling to produce Tamil sounds centuries ago. So centuries ago, actually Radhakrishna Govindan stopped speaking Tamil. Now we move on to the fifth paragraph. Like others of his fellow men, his ancestors were brought to the island as slaves or later as intended laborers to work in sugarcane fields and factories, or to cut timber in the jungle and haul it to the boats. Okay, so like any of his fellow men, the companions of Radhakrishna Govindan, the ancestors of Radhakrishnan also were brought to the island. They were brought to the island as slaves. So slave workers were once in all of the countries. Okay. So these Radhakrishnan's ancestors also were brought as slaves to work in Mauritius, either in the sugarcane fields or in some forced labor in some of the factories, or to work in the field of timber. That means to cut down the trees and upload it to the boats. Okay, so they were they were doing the three works the ancestors were doing, either works in the sugarcane field or in the factories, or to cut timber and haul it, pull it to the boats. Okay, so that the boats could carry it to some other countries. Okay, now their roots in their original homeland withered. So the roots, they have lost the roots. Okay, now they no more go back to their original homeland and disappeared with the passage of time. So that as the times went by, they also lost the habit of returning back to the original homeland. Okay, they lost all the connections. All of them together happily came to share in the triumphs and the defeats of whoever happened to be their masters among the buccaneering trinity of those days. So, whoever be their masters among the buccaneering trinity, who were the buccaneering trinity? The piratial countries. So, those countries were Dutch, French, English. So they were the masters in different periods of time. Okay, when the Dutch ruled, these people were under the Dutch dominance. When French people ruled, they had alliance to these French people. When English people came to conquer the island. So actually, consequently, they had the influence of English people. So all these masters, different masters, had a tremendous influence on the culture and development and the future of this particular island and the people who lived there. The Dutch, the French, and the English, who constantly waged battle for the possession of the island, for its spices and sugar, or just for the strategic position on the maritime route to the east, conveniently placed as it was for piratical purposes. Okay. Now these three countries constantly waged battle. That means they constantly they engaged in war between each other for the possession of the island. Each of these countries had a special interest in this, in order to possess this particular island and conquer the island. Why? Because the island Mauritius was rich in spices, and there were a lot of sugarcane fields and the production of sugar. And another reason why they were engaging in war was this particular island was strategically positioned. Okay. On the maritime road, so lot of people were from the Europe were traveling towards the east to conquer the countries, to enslave them and to plunder whatever the resources they had. So they had a maritime route to the east. So this was a strategic position where they could come and have dealings and all those things. So this was a strategically positioned island. So all of them had a special interest to possess this particular island. Okay. Now we move on to the sixth paragraph. However, the Battle of 1810 ended all that in favor of English. So, in the Battle of 1810, there was a battle between the French as well as the English. So, in favor of English, that means England won, or Greater Britain won the war. The French surrendered and handed over the island after extracting a favor from the conquerors that the French influence on the island be left intact. So, when the English conquered the island and captured it from the French people, so the French people had a request that the French influence that they had on the island shall not be touched. That means the culture, the language, the French civilization, whatever they gave to the people of Mauritius shall not be taken away from them. Okay, so you can rule the country, but give us one favor, that the French influence be kept intact. Okay. So, the English people kept their word to the last day of their rule. So, they kept the promise. These English people kept the promise. They did not touch the French influence on the island, which ended in 1968. So, the influence or the dominance of English was over in 1968. Till then, they kept the promise. And so, we still have very musical but unpronounceable names like Traux, Bitches, Bau Bashin, Quarter Bonds, Kurpipe, Rose Belle, and so on. So, since the English people did not try to take away their French influence on the people of Mauritius, they still have the French names, which are very musical, but it is unpronounceable. That means it is very difficult to pronounce. So those names are given there. You can try to pronounce those names, and if you like, you can change your name and put those names as for yours. Okay. Now we move on to the seventh paragraph. The people are extremely relaxed and warm towards strangers. Now, R.K. Lakshman says about the type of people, how do they look like and how do they behave. And those people are very relaxed and warm. They are very, very warm in their relationship, very cordial, okay, to the strangers. In the streets, in the bazaar, in restaurants, it is common to be greeted and smiled at as if you were a long lost friend. So when you enter into a hotel or a restaurant, or when you walk through the bazaar, in the streets, you see people greet you as if you are a long lost friend of them. That means with so much cordiality, with so much affection, without any strangeness. They come with a lot of warmth to greet you, to ask about you, to talk to you. So they are very cordial and they are very friendly people. Coming from Bombay, with my precast grim expression of a city dweller, I react awkwardly at first to such spontaneity and feel ashamed that I am not even able to produce a matching smile. So, since R.K. Lakshman hails from Mumbai, which is a very, he's a city dweller and very polished in behavior. Okay, and it was really awkward for him to see such kind of spontaneity, and he also felt it ashamed that he was not even able to produce a matching smile. He was not even able to give them a beautiful smile back, because his city shaped character, polished character, did not allow him to smile or be cordial to them. That means he was a little nervous when these people were very cordial. Okay, so here he makes a confession that he was not feeling easy to be as free as the people of Mauritius. Thus we come to the end of today's class. We will see the rest of the story in the coming classes. So wish you everything best. Read the text several times. Don't forget to write the copy. If you have not finished writing the notes, please complete it today itself. God bless you. Have a nice time.